Hey there, Fai Cheng here with the second video in the series on how to do no yuck marketing, how to do marketing or sell your products and services in a way that is, well, non-yucky, okay? So video number one, which got great feedback, fantastic, thank you very much for that. And I've addressed hopefully all the questions in there. And if not, just hit me up. Anyway, first video was all about basically your target audience, how to please your target audience, okay? The second video is basically about the flip side of that whole thing, namely how to please your bank manager. Because there's no point being a martyr and giving away good stuff all the time and never getting compensated in return. Because as many a coach who is a martyr will tell you, if you don't make any money, you have only very limited reach. So if you want to reach a large audience and make a difference, you're going to have to make some money at some point because reaching out costs money. So with that out of the way, let's have a look at the fundamental model of how to create or get to that point where you can actually make money, once again, in a very ethical way. And the best way to illustrate this is with a shocking, earth-shattering event that happened in 2007. So in 2007, we moved away from Oxford. After 10 years in Oxford, we moved to southern Germany, and there was one thing, the earth-shattering thing, and that was that. In Oxford, there is a wonderful little, it's a bakery type thing. It's called Maison Blanc. And Maison Blanc have this little gem of a cupcake. It's like a cupcake. It's called a citronnier. It's sort of a lemon-infused little cupcake. Very, very dense, yet light. It's magic. I don't know how they do it. Anyway, whilst I live in Oxford, constant fix, constant, on the way home, very easy to swing by Maison Blanc. It was on the route home and pick up a citronnier. Now, when we moved away in 2007, of course, I was suddenly faced with an 800-mile commute to pick up a citronnier. So I went in there and tried to convince them, persuade them, bribe them, and nothing worked. Well, in the end, the head chef actually relented, and if anyone from Maison Blanc sees this, he didn't. And he gave me the list of ingredients. He didn't give me the proportions, but he gave me the list of ingredients. So let me show you a citronnier. Here it is. Aren't they gorgeous? Aren't they absolutely mouth-wateringly gorgeous? And they are, trust me. And by the way, a big thank you to Nicola, who works at, or is responsible for some kind of marketing at Maison Blanc. And I emailed her and said, hey, would you mind hooking me up with a picture? And 10 minutes later, I had a picture of a citronnier. So Nicola, if you can see this, awesome. Thank you very much. So I had the list of ingredients, not the proportions, and I spent the next half year, A, getting fatter and fatter, and B, going through dozens of combinations of the main ingredients, okay? So the main ingredients are butter, eggs, flour, semolina, and almonds. Now, I don't know how many dozens of variations I've put together. I never managed to recreate this thing. The vast majority of them were rubbish. Quite a few were nice, but none of them were as stellar as the original, namely the citronnier by Maison Blanc. So, where's the connection between citronniers and creating this one thing where you start making money quickly and effectively whilst doing ethical marketing? And it's all got to do with momentum. Okay, think about it. If you start with a recipe where you have pretty much a good standard, you know what's working, then you're already on the right track. And then it's very easy to make small modifications. Do I use a little bit more lemon, a little less lemon? Do I use a little more almond or less almond? Okay, keeping everything else the same, you vary one little component. Whereas if you start with, I've got this mix of things. I've got a website here, I've got a traffic source here, I've heard I'm supposed to use social media, some video marketing, I've got all this kind of stuff, and you have no idea how to mix it all together, well, you're never going to get any momentum. You're basically stuck. Now, maybe a real-world application of this, or an example from marketing and selling, is coaching. There's a gentleman called Frank Kern, and he came out with this model. I mean, he didn't invent it, but he kind of popularized it, and suddenly it was mainstream everywhere. And where he said, I've got this coaching offer, it might be right for you, and I've got a little guarantee here, and I'm going to take you to the next level. I'm going to build you a great business. I help you build a great business. And a lot of coaches in quotes, jumped on board and said, hey, I'll coach you how to do this. And unfortunately, they overlooked one key component of Frank Kern's original model, which was, if you have an existing business with existing client flow, then I will help you uncover hidden resources, hidden gems, hidden opportunities to create more value and create more money. Okay, so all these other coaches jumped on board. Hey, I'm just copying the sales letter, because that's what Frank Kern said. Hey, take my model and copy it. They just went in and said, hey, I'm going to help you create something out of nothing. I'm just going to help you with, we take a little bit of semolina, a little bit of social media, a little bit of egg, a little bit of whatever. We'll mix it all together and you'll make money. Yeah, BS. Ain't going to happen, okay? The key component in Frank Kern's offer, and I've seen only 2 people repeat it in the right way, where they said, if you have existing client flow, then I will help you uncover hidden opportunities. And that is the key thing. So basically, you need to have a model where you have momentum, where you have clients coming in, where you have an existing base upon which you can do the small variations. Now can test a video sales. There's no point testing a video sales letter versus a long form sales letter when you have no traffic coming into it. Duh. Okay? So with that out of the way, the citronnier out of the way, I'm going to Oxford in July. I'm cycling from here to Ireland, and I'm going to stop in Oxford to pick up a citronnier. I'm already mouth-watering, dribbling at the moment. Alrighty, enough of citronniers. Let's have a look at momentum-building models. And by the way, I put that picture in there. So first of all, you can see where I'm cycling, but also so I can remove that thing. I just noticed on the monitor that there was a tiny bit of text in the screen, and anyone who's a little bit detail-oriented, symmetry-oriented, they'll be going, fine, get it going, bye. Look, it's gone, okay? It's no longer distracting you. So we can focus on this side, where we're going to look at the momentum building model. All right? So here is how most people do it. They have a business, and in that business, they go and do some marketing, do some advertising, and they get some leads in. So chasing leads, and then as a next step, well, obviously, they all want something done, like a product or a service, so we now fulfill orders. And whilst you're busy fulfilling orders, you have no time to do marketing and advertising, so, need to go and chase some more clients. Well, whilst you're busy doing marketing and chasing clients, you have no time to fulfill orders. So suddenly you've got this big pile of orders, and now you need to go and fulfill them. And so on. And this is the reality for almost all businesses, okay, whether online or offline. I've done consulting for businesses where the only appointment I could get was at 9:30 in the evening. Go in, and there they are. And this was like a printing business. They're doing t-shirt printing. They were busy, husband and wife team, ironing little logos on t-shirts, 200 of them, which they had to deliver the next morning. That is the classic, totally overworked whilst they're doing it. No time to go marketing, and then once you fulfilled all the orders, empty pipeline, need to go and chase customers. So we don't like that. We want to get something else. Specifically, we want to get something that kind of builds on top of each success. Okay, every time you do something, it gets up and up and up. And I'm not promising you're going to have 7, 8-figure business, 9-figure business. But the idea is that whilst you're fulfilling orders, you still have a steady but manageable stream of customers coming in. All right? So let's have a look at how you do that. And for this, we need the legendary top model. All right. Top model is a term my 2 boys coined 2 years ago. So 6 and 7-year-olds, they came home, Daddy, look, there's a top model. Top model in their world was someone with long blonde hair, short skirt, and high heels. And kind of embarrassing driving around town or walking around town. It's like, Daddy, look, there's a top model. Don't ask me, I didn't teach them. They picked this up in school, honest. Anyway, here is the top model, which is really the momentum building model, TOP. And in simplest terms, all you ever need to sell anything is a product. You need an offer where you tell people about your product, product or service. And of course you need people, which is traffic, TOP, traffic, offer, product, okay? So let's have a look at product first, but before we do, let me give you a little quote, which I picked up from the BBC. And it's all about the tablet wars. You know, Apple, iPad versus Samsung. I don't even know what it's called. So here's the quote. It's very difficult for consumers to tell the difference between these products. But what does make Samsung stand out is the fact that they're prepared to carpet bomb marketing with an eye-watering budget, which effectively marginalizes some of the other companies trying to get into the tablet space. All right? Two very important points here. The first one is very difficult for consumers to tell the difference between products these days. Okay? When you go out there, it's very easy for people to just whip out their mobile phone or go onto their computer and do a quick comparison. And in today's age, everything looks the same. So how do people choose? Well, they go with what, for example, Samsung does. Samsung uses an eye-watering budget to be at the top of people's mind, okay? They go around like, okay, what do I go? Oh, look, Samsung, yeah, I remember. Now, fact is, you and I don't have eye-watering budgets, well, at least not to the level, well, I don't know about you, but I don't, that Samsung does. So we need to do something else. So, with that in mind, let's have a look at the top model. Let's look at P, product first. Alrighty, let's look at products, okay? So the first question is, what product can I create? And you already know it's a product that is centered on a PSP, on a problem-solving proposition. If that's not in place, there's no point doing it. But there is, in today's marketplace, something else going on which you absolutely must have in place, otherwise there's no point creating products. And that is all to do with the quote I've just read out, the Samsung thing. Reality is, in order to be able to compete, or if you're not in a position, like Samsung is, to carpet bomb marketing with an eye-watering budget, what else can you do? And it's basically, the answer is, you need to build a brand. I'll show you in a second why that is. Actually, three very good reasons, okay? Whenever you're going out and you're building products, rather than going, this is purely centered on a PSP, on a problem-solving proposition, you also have to, with every single product you're creating, have to think, how is that building my brand? So here are the three reasons why. First one is, we don't want to, and this is all centered around the concept of building momentum. Every time you think about it, acquiring a new customer is expensive, okay? You know this, I know this, and the stats vary, but some people talk about like it's 20 times more expensive to get a new customer than to sell something to an existing customer. Why is that? Because you have to build up trust, you have to build up the relationship with the customer, so they come to you and go, right, I buy your stuff. And that is exactly when you're building a brand. You're basically putting in place that trust factor. So people go, I've previously bought this one thing from you, and therefore the next one is probably, in all likelihood, very, very good. If you don't do it, you basically put in a huge effort to build up trust. You sell your product, and then you basically start back at square one. You need to do it again for the new one, and so on and so on. And of course, that is the opposite of momentum. Every time, new product, you have to potentially explore a new market, you have to put in all this effort to figure out what the PSP is, etc., etc. So the idea is to build a brand. Now, brand doesn't have to, don't think of brand as in, have to be Kellogg's or whatever. It could be expert status. If you're an expert in your field, whatever it is, it's all centered around brand. Now, if you want something a little bit more tangible, but the underlying reason why people then come to you is basically you're building a trust or a relationship with a group of followers. It's almost like you're having a tribe, and they are behind you because they like your stuff, they trust you, they get great results from what you're providing them with, and as a result they're more likely to recommend you to others and buy from you again. Now, that's all a little bit woo-woo. Let's look at something a bit more tangible. And the second one is basically, so the first one is trust. Trust. Second one, and now I need to make sure this actually fits on the screen. Oh, we're running out of space. The second one has to do with Google. All right, so what's all that about? Google, okay. I'm going to spare you the technical details, but basically the mission of Google is to provide great content. And right from the outset, without really telling anyone about it, they have figured out that brands typically provide good content. So they've always, although it's not never been very obvious, they've always kind of given a preferential treatment to brands. And as of end of last year, beginning of this year, 2013, they're now very actively pushing brands. So if you're out there and you're thinking, it'd be quite nice to get some traffic from Google, you absolutely need to build a brand. And there are various ways of doing this. It has nothing to do with loopholes and tricks, etc., etc. You actually need to do some really solid work, but you don't have to do it with an eye-watering budget, okay? When you're building a brand, this is the key concept here. The brand you're building has nothing to do with the mass advertising the big companies are doing. They're totally different ways of doing this. So don't worry about the eye-watering budget. There are different ways of doing this, and we can go into that in further trainings. For now, that's the first 2 points. And the third one I'm going to have to, I don't know, put over here, because there are other factors which are even more tangible. And this is something I picked up in the sauna the other day. So no worries, no nudity. It was a magazine I was reading whilst I was relaxing between sauna sessions. And it was a motor magazine, car magazine, and there was a statistic about BMW. Turns out BMW, car manufacturer, make 1/3 of all sales. Actually, it was 35%. 1 in 3 cars they sell purely by having the brand. There's no need for knocking anyone over the head, no convincing needed, no direct marketing, nothing. People just come to them and say, I would like to buy another Beamer, simply because they've got the brand. Wouldn't it be nice to make 1/3 of all your sales just by having the brand? I would say so. All right, so that is, let's call it the BMW factor. Can't think of anything else apart from 35% of all sales. Thank you very much. Okay, very professionally presented here. Trust, the Google thing. Trust is basically repeat buyers, having people who really recommend your brand. Second one, Google, all about getting traffic from Google and the search engines just because they have a brand, and because that is their mission, to provide great content. And of course, the BMW factor. Alrighty, let's move on to the next part, which is the offer. And oh yes, sleazy sales guy was there on purpose, because that's, if we look at this offer as advertising, that's what most people associate with advertising, okay, or marketing in general. There's that whole selling thing. Now we're going to have a look at why that doesn't have to be that way, okay? So let me tell you a quick story which I've heard from Chris Cardell. So Chris, if you're seeing this, correct me if I get a few facts wrong, but the essence of the story is this. So Chris is at a seminar, and there's a guy at the front giving his talk, and then at the end he makes an offer. And the offer is, I've got this big box here, and you can get the course, and you pay now, and then if you don't like it, you ship it back for free. We pick up the shipping within 30 days, and you get a full refund. Okay, few people go to the back and pick up his offer. Cool. And then after the break, same presenter comes back and says, hey guys, look, I've got 15 boxes here, and they're huge and they're heavy, and I really, really don't want to drag them home. So here's what I've got for you. You take a box now, you just give me your credit card details, and you take it home with you. And if I don't hear from you within 30 days, I'm going to charge you after 30 days. He couldn't even finish the sentence, and all the boxes were gone. Now, what's the difference between those two things? Nothing really. There's no risk on the person buying it. They had 30 days to think about it, and no risk they could ship it back and not get charged. But the way it was phrased, that was the big difference. And that is what we're talking about here in this sense. What is an offer, okay? This is typically where you hear things like split testing. You must test and optimize offers, okay? That's what this is about. You take your offer, you take 2 variations, you figure out which one works better, which one resonates better with your list. And that takes a lot of time, okay? In practice, you can fast track this, but overall, this is where a lot of work happens, because you want to get to the point where you've got an offer that where you put $1 in, you get more dollars out. And that's the whole point of this here. Unfortunately, this is also where most people get it completely wrong by starting at the wrong end of the optimization process, okay? And the term we're looking for here is, or the magic is, you need to do, oh no, you don't want to do that. Oh God, that's even worse. You definitely never ever do this. This is just, kids, when you're watching this, don't do this. Right. What we want is context before content. And unfortunately, most people start with content first and then put the context around it, or try to. Okay? Here is what that means. And by the way, this is something that was pulled out of me by my coach Craig, who is an absolute genius. By the way, he's a true coach. He listens, he asks very specific questions, and then he gets the magic out of you, which is already inside you. He's not one of those do this, do this, do this, and it never happens or it never works. Okay? So anyway, context before content. Most people go, right, I want to set up a website. I'll just put some stuff on there. Or I will, or my big question is, what do I put in my autoresponder sequence? What do I mail about? And then they go, I could mail about this, or this, or this, or this. What kind of, if you want to drive traffic, what do I put in my videos? What do I put in my articles? All these questions, they're all basically content, okay? The emails you're sending out, the articles you're putting out, the press releases you're putting out, the stuff you put on your website, it's all content. Another example from real businesses, offline businesses, is you see a coupon, okay? Come to our grand opening, and if you bring this coupon, you get a glass of champagne or whatever. That is usually from the perspective of the business owner. I've seen so many, we work with tons of small business owners, and the classic is, okay, we've got this big box of stuff sitting there. Why don't we put that in there and have a great giveaway to get people in the store? Why is it sitting there and collecting dust? Because no one wants it. And that is exactly what context is, okay? You basically need to figure out, what do people really want? If you don't have your PSP in place, the problem-solving proposition, then no amount of communicating what cool stuff you've got, it's not going to resonate with your target audience, all right? This whole model is about, I'm solving a problem and I'm communicating the fact that I'm doing it to a target audience. If you're going in and I've got stuff that's collecting dust, you can communicate all day long and no one's going to go and buy. All right? So the context is figuring out truly what people want. There's a second aspect to this, very, very important, especially in the context of, I love the word context, of Samsung and the mass marketing, okay? And it's all got to do with how this thing works, the internet. You're watching this on the internet at the moment. At least I think you are, unless you're doing some magic, okay? Think about the good old days, okay? Good old days, you go to a corner store and someone knows you and they like you and they know exactly what you buy every week, so either it's already ready or they can get it for you very quickly. Today, you find the equivalent probably in a few bars around the world where if you go regularly, you are a regular and they know what you want. But then came along the Industrial Revolution and all this standing out of stuff. And with that came the salesperson, the sleazy sales guy we saw a second ago, all right? And basically they go in and they sell by overcoming your objection, all that kind of stuff. But the one thing they typically do, every salesperson is taught to do this thing, is to go in and figure out what you like. They look around your room and go, ooh, you are into football. Or you're into, cool studio lights. Hey, I've got some studio lights at home as well. We have some commonality going. And awesome, now the trust starts to build, and yeah, excellent. We both like studio lights, and therefore we're probably cool. And now we can talk about business, and I'll buy some new tripod. That is not possible the way we're communicating over the internet. Okay, I cannot hop through the camera and look around your room and have figure out what's going on there. And it's like, oh, you're into whatever, knitting, cool. So what you need to do is basically the reverse. You need to invite people, your prospects, into your world so they can look around and go, all right, you are pretty much like me. Hey, I've got 4 kids, so probably my message doesn't, the fact that I constantly talk about my kids does not resonate with people who don't have kids. They just go, yeah, whatever. And by the way, that is by design. Okay, we're talking about rejection marketing. I'd rather hang out with people who have kids or grandkids. That's what we're working towards, having grandkids. So you can play with them, and then when they have got dirty nappies, you hand them back and you laugh at your own kids. That's what I'm looking for. Facing a little bit of puberty in the way, on the way to that. But anyway, so context before content goes both directions, okay? It goes in the sense of you need to do your PSP, you need to figure out what your prospect wants. But at the same time, just the way it is, if you want to compete with the big guys, with the Samsungs, it is by being uniquely you, by being authentic, by being out there as a brand. You know, you're building a brand by being authentic. And so the one thing you need to basically figure out is, you know, what you're good at, what are your strengths, and what is the essence of you. And that's something you need to communicate in your offer, because otherwise you're going to have to fake it all the time and people sniff that from a mile away. That is the essence of offer. Let's have a look at the so exciting, and this truly is exciting, at least when I look at my surveys, traffic. Alrighty, traffic truly is the most popular topic. Whenever I survey my list, I've seen plenty of other surveys. Most people think the problem to solving all, the answer to solving all their problems is more traffic. And the answer is, of course, it's not, okay? Because, just like these two things, every time you do market research, you know, let's call it market research. Developing a PSP is basically, you know, at fundamental level, it's market research. That takes a lot of time and effort, which is why you want to do it once as opposed to every time you launch a new product. The same goes for this here. You know, developing a functioning system, an offer that really resonates with your target audience, where you put in, you know, a system where you put in $1 and outcomes, you know, 2, 3, 4, 10, takes time and effort. So you only want to really do it once, or at least as effectively as possible, which is why you start with the context. And the same applies to traffic. Every time you develop a new traffic system, as in, you know, you go and test the traffic source, etc., does it actually resonate with its offer? Do they actually then go and buy your thing? I mean, there's the one thing offering free beer, but, you know, to get them to buy like a gin and tonic later on is a whole different story. So once again, it is very expensive in terms of time and energy and possibly money to develop a new system, which is why you want to do this as effectively as possible. And for this, unfortunately, I'm going to have to do some wiping now to illustrate why you want precisely two traffic systems, and that's all you'll ever need. Now you might be thinking, the two, what are the magic two? Newspaper ads and Facebook? No, they're not, okay? The first one is an external traffic source, and the other one is an internal traffic source. No big surprise there, right? If you go in and basically do what most small business owners do, which is you buy a customer, you do advertising, they come into your store, and, you know, there's a high cost associated with it, and then they might buy something, and then you typically don't do anything with that customer afterwards. That's what most business owners do. And then they basically buy more expensive traffic, okay? And that is expensive both in terms of money, as well as because you have to invest so much time typically doing this and testing it, etc., that you are working this boom-bust cycle, which is what we don't want. So what you want to do is get to the point where you have that steady stream of traffic coming in, even when you're fulfilling orders. So what you want to do is you do some initial marketing, and then over time, this is time, I don't know if that's still on the screen, if not, that is time. Over time, you do less and less external advertising. And that could be, you know, any traffic source that is suitable for what you've got on offer. And then you very quickly build up a system of internal traffic, which is basically a managed referral system. If you don't have a managed referral system in place, you are running boom and bust. And a referral system is more than going out and saying, hey, do you know someone? Can you think of someone? Okay, there's a very specific, or there are tons of ways of doing it, but there's more to it than just asking for it. And once again, we can go into this in a later training. And once you've got this in place, over time, what happens is you get traffic in the beginning to get everything kick-started. Then you build up that internal traffic thing, and you only keep the external traffic going to kind of chuck out the bottom 15-20% of your customers from time to time to replace them with higher quality ones. Because you'll always, with all your marketing, all your referrals, you're always going to attract customers who are not good customers. Which brings us to the whole thing of rejection marketing, right? And it's terrible. Look, we talked about selling, that selling is not super popular because there's a lot of rejection, and people don't like going out and selling because there's a whole rejection thing going on. So imagine you're the kind of person who needs to do phone calls, and then every time you get someone, they go, "I'm eating dinner, goodbye," boom. That's not nice. So the whole point, or the whole rejection thing, is not very nice. Which is why it might sound horrible to go, I want to reject the top 15% or the bottom 15% of my customers. Your business will grow so much faster when you get that going on a regular basis. Be nice about it. Say, look, we're not a good fit. Once again, it's what I mentioned earlier with the I've got 4 kids. I like dealing with people who have kids. We've got something in common. And anyone who's not got kids and thinks kids are annoying and they've got snotty noses, and they're probably not a good customer. That is not a good fit. That is one example, but you get the idea. Some people are just not a good fit, and you need to get rid of them because they consume the vast majority of the customer support tickets, etc., etc. I've just done one there. I've got one, keeps coming back and back and back. And it usually starts with, instead of using the support desk, they send you emails. It's like, oh, okay. Anyway. So, the one big message here is every single one of those steps is expensive. If you go in and do the classic launch model, where people launch a product, it looks like this, and this is going to fit on the screen, please. Okay, they launch a product, and then they exhaust it from launching the product, and then they launch another product, and then they exhaust it, and then launch another product. Okay. That is where you're jumping from promotion to promotion. You may have heard that term, jumping from promotion to promotion. The reason they're doing it is because at this point they have to do their market research, the P. They have to develop an offer that works, and they have to test it until it works. And then they have to develop a traffic system or test several traffic systems. And then basically at this point they almost throw most of it away, and they have to then do another top and another top. And every single time we do it, it's expensive in terms of time and energy, which is why you definitely do not want to do a launch model. Instead, you want to do proper top models. We like top models. Alrighty, let me wrap that up. I hope that kind of makes sense. And I want to now wrap that up with the one big question I kind of alluded to in the last video, which is you can charge as much as you like. Price is no longer an issue. Awesome! Okay, so here is the common myth in marketing. You need to go out and price test. Raise your prices until there is resistance. And then you will have found the perfect price point. And if no one is responding to your offer, you need to lower your prices until you found it. The stupid, in my thinking, assumption is this. There is the right price point for you and your business and what you've got to offer. And that, in my opinion, is very, very short-sighted. Okay? Yes, it is kind of true, probably, that for one particular traffic source and one particular offer and one particular problem-solving proposition, you have a narrow range of a price point. And because it all depends on context. People go out and they see other offers in the market. You might be talking to a particular target audience that doesn't have very much money, or that kind of thing. But that is a hint, isn't it? If you're talking to the wrong target audience, yeah, you can't possibly charge what you want to charge. So price isn't really determined. It's not fixed. It's not like there is that magic number. Instead, really, it is this stuff around it which you need to vary until you get to the price point you want. Okay? And if you go out and you've got a great value proposition or problem-solving proposition, and you create an offer, and then you test one traffic source, and the traffic source says, well, no, I'm not willing to pay you the $5,000 for your coaching, then that is no reason to go, oh, damn, no one likes my $5,000 coaching. If you've got the value, if you truly can go and reach out and can provide that value, a massive ROI to other people, then don't take it personally and just go, you know what, that was a bad fit for this particular traffic source. I'll go and find another traffic source where it is a better fit. Okay? You can then, when you write a sales letter, there's no, oh, what is the right price point? No, you just go out and let me test this. And if it works for you, target audience, cool. If it doesn't work, that's fine. That's just feedback from the market. It's a big shift in thinking here. Price is not fixed, okay? You can always test your way or find a place where it makes sense. Okay, yes, there are ridiculous offers that don't work, but you get the idea. Alrighty, so that is it. That is the momentum building model. You basically get this right once, build a brand, because a brand gives you so many points of leverage, and you can recycle all your research over and over and over again instead of having to do it again and again and again, which takes a lot of time. You then create offers, and you basically create the context first, so you know exactly, and it's all based on this here, you know exactly what kind of content to put out, you know exactly what to write in your autoresponder sequences, you know exactly what will resonate with your target audience when you put out a press release, and so on. And then you go to traffic, and you want to make sure, absolutely, that yes, you develop a traffic source for that steady renewal of the bottom 15%, so you can chuck out the whiners and get great quality clients in there. But definitely go and set up an internal referral system where you then have like-minded people coming in who all love kids and of course lighting rigs. There you go. That is the top model. Hope is useful. Go and build some momentum, okay? To keep the momentum going, there is homework. Yay! Because this is kind of the theory of it. And I've got some homework for you where we go through some practical applications for it. So I'll ask you some questions, you can fill it in. Cool. And that'll be somewhere around here. And then also, I've got a next video where we do a few more individual points of this. Okay, there's one thing that is particularly helpful with the P cycle there. It's called theming. I'll show you that it was one of the biggest insights for me, especially when it comes to email marketing and product development. You'll absolutely love this. We'll also have the power of one, which is kind of on this side. Once again, helps focus all your thinking and all you're doing, so you can build up momentum and don't get distracted or don't feel the necessity or that urge to go and do something else because you're running out of money. That's the classic, the boom and bust cycle. Launches, oh, I've just done the launch and I've just used up all my money. Damn, I need to go and do another one. Definitely don't want that. Alrighty, go and have fun with this. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video and the homework.